Hello and welcome back to the channel, unless you're new here, in which case, welcome. A company reached out to me a little while back and offered to send me out a portable gaming monitor, USB-C, touchscreen, HDMI, lots and lots of bells and whistles, and after a little back and forth and miscommunications, we eventually got it all worked out, and so today, this arrived on my front door. This is the WiMaxIt portable monitor. Now I have done a video similar to this before, a different brand, USB-C monitor, but this one also has an HDMI port, it has a touchscreen, whereas the other one's just kind of a mediocre monitor. This one is supposed to be significantly more impressive. I think the price point is $280. Let me just double check that. $278.88 right now with Prime shipping. And this is a 1080p 15.6 inch touchscreen monitor with HDMI, USB-C, USB Type-C to a USB cable included, and a 5V 2A USB power adapter. So presumably it will be powered over USB as well. Obviously if it's USB-C, I think it'll just be all USB-C. But I'm very curious to see how this works. I've got a couple of devices here to test it with. Let's see what comes in the box. Right off the top, you have the monitor, and then down below, one HDMI to HDMI mini cable, a 1 meter cable, a 1 meter Type-C to Type-C cable, a Qualcomm Quick Charge 3 USB power brick, and a Type-C to USB 3 cable. Because if I remember correctly, if you use this USB-C to USB 3.0 cable in conjunction with HDMI on a desktop, you could add a touchscreen to your existing machine with just this one extra cable, which I thought was very cool. But anyway, on to the main point of the video. You've got a little bit of documentation and user guides and such, little microfiber branded cleaning cloth, and then the monitor itself, presumably in its faux leather case. This does feel like a very thin material, but it is soft on the underside, so that should keep the screen safe. And you may not have noticed it here, but on the back it does say USB Type-C only, IPS monitor. IPS definitely sounds good. And it says video input Type-C or HDMI, 1920 by 1080, and less than 12 watts of power consumption. Let's just see how this works. Well, that's kind of interesting. I kind of expected there was going to be a way to actually prop the monitor up using this, but I'm not seeing that immediately. Let me go ahead and peel this off so we can see what's underneath. And there you have the front of the device. You can see it's a very glossy display. Has the WiMaxIt branding here down at the bottom. Over on the right hand side, there's a smattering of ports. HDMI 1, HDMI 2, both mini, USB Type-C, USB power, both USB-C ports, headphone jack, then on the other side, micro USB, and then some buttons and switches. So you have power, minus, plus, menu, and input. Hopefully you can see most of those. But unfortunately, again, I'm not seeing a way to actually stand this up. The top, this part appears to be kind of bendable, so maybe I'm supposed to bend it in somehow. Yeah, on the Amazon listing, they actually show use aluminum leather cover as mount, operation more convenient. And it's showing it folding back and then flipping out. So I'm gonna see if that works. It does kind of magnetize to it, but it doesn't provide a super sturdy connection. And unfortunately you can't see it, but when I set it down like this, it does stay in place, but it's not a hugely strong connection. I mean, if you were moving it around or touching it or anything, I would probably suggest finding another stand for it. I have a stand I've been using with my other USB monitor, so I'll probably use it with that. But for the sake of the video, I'm actually just gonna lay it down on the table. And I believe I'll start out by plugging it into USB and just turning it on, taking a quick look at the menus. And as soon as I plugged it in, you can kind of see WiMaxIt on there. I'm gonna have to go ahead and break out this cloth. There we go. So after just a few seconds, it said no signal and then power saving. Again, just a reminder, this is very glossy. It's not matte in any way, so this is gonna be a fingerprint magnet if you touch it, and you're probably gonna touch it because it's supposed to be a touch screen. The menu button isn't doing anything, nothing currently, so presumably with no signal, it's just not gonna do anything at all. So let me plug it into something. How about we try USB-C into an iPad? Because I don't know if the new iPad Pro will do USB-C video, but we're about to find out, right? So I've gone ahead and unplugged the USB-C power, plugging in the Type-C data. Now we'll plug in the USB-C for the monitor into the iPad. And it did pop up and say WiMaxIt. Oh, and you can probably, it's kind of dim. But if I hit the menu button now, I can go through and change brightness settings. So I hit the buttons and now I'm taking it all the way up. I'm gonna turn the contrast up, black level up, just putting the two up side by side. You can see there's a very clear difference between the pictures. That might have to do with the iPad Pro, but when I make a change on one device, you can see it does reflect on the other. So I'm just swiping back and forth, and both of them are swiping. Yeah, if I touch this screen, nothing is happening currently. Let's try it out with my MacBook Pro. So this is the 2016 13-inch MacBook Pro. I'll go ahead and plug it into one of the USB-C ports on the side here. And you can see WiMaxIt came back up. And after a couple of seconds there, it did come up. It is visible, and it is functioning as a second display. So if I move the touchpad around here you might be able to see. Let me select this stuff on the screen. You can just see it is moving around when I use the trackpad. Yeah, touching the screen, nothing's currently happening. So there might be a driver or something I have to download to make that work. It is supposed to have a touchscreen, but I just haven't had any luck with it yet. But just holding it up at the right angle and looking at it, the viewing angles do all appear to be pretty decent. Definitely not the brightest monitor I've ever seen, but everything does look sharp. I'll just show you some of the text on the screen here so you can see that. It is very nice and sharp. And one last thing for now, let me just try it with my phone and see if that works. So we plug the mini HDMI into the side of the monitor in HDMI 1, the full-size HDMI into the iPhone, and then power from the wall back into this. And you see it says WiMaxIt again. And I didn't have to touch anything. It actually just came up on the screen. I can swipe back and forth. There's a little bit of delay on this. That could be just because it's going through the HDMI adapter. For the most part, I think you'd use that when you're gonna watch a video or something. And I've gone ahead and selected one of my videos on YouTube, and I'm just playing it through the app over HDMI. I can play and pause. I can actually hear audio coming out of it. Looking through the rest of the menus, because I hadn't really gone too deeply into it yet. You have an aspect ratio you can change. You can change the color temperatures. Right now, everything's just standard. You can change the on-screen display. You can reset the entire thing. You can do auto power down, HDR mode, signal source, you can change that. You can change the blue light levels. The volume is right here, which that's a little bit of an odd place to have it. I would have figured there would be buttons somewhere or the ability to control it without having to go into the menus. Oh, you can. You just hit the up and down buttons and it does change the volume. So that's pretty cool. And here's a quick sample of it connected to my 27-inch iMac. So I've just got it on the stand where I had my previous monitor. As you can probably see there, it does have its own display profile that came up, WiMaxIt FHD. The colors on this look a little bit more yellow than I'm used to, but that could partially be the camera. Either way, in the lighting that I'm normally in here, my home office setup, it's bright enough, it's very clear, it's very sharp, so good stuff here. And just taking a look back at the guide here, there's a whole list of things you can use it with. It has dual HDMI ports and USB-C, with connections to things like smartphone, PC, Mac Mini, MacBook, laptops, cameras, Nintendo Switch, Sony, PS3, PS4, Xbox, etc. There are not a whole lot of things that will connect to the Switch, or there weren't at least a while back, over the USB-C, and it sounds like this is going to, so that's kind of useful. Power delivery support also. So with one USB-C cable, you can power the monitor and also charge your phone or your PC. So technically, I could plug the power cable into this monitor and then have output go into my MacBook and have the MacBook Pro be charged through this monitor, according to this. And it does say just plug and play, no driver or software need to be installed, so there's got to be something that's required for the Mac to work with the touchscreen part. It's just not on there. And I've gone ahead and hooked it up to my Windows laptop, my Alienware laptop. You can see it is mirroring the display, and actually, with it hooked up over HDMI, the colors look really similar. It is still a very shiny display, but in this lighting, it looks just fine, and it's actually just about as sharp as my Alienware display. But the added benefit, I do have the USB-C to USB 3.0 and mini HDMI to HDMI hooked up. Now when I touch the screen, I can use the touch screen. So this does definitely work appropriately. And it looks like I can click and drag, select multiple things just by using one finger. If I go into the browser, I can pinch to zoom. So multi-touch is working. I don't know how many fingers you can use on it, but at least 2. No drivers required, and I did see from a Lon Sideman video that these WiMaxIt monitors apparently just aren't supported on Mac for touchscreen, so there might be a driver for it, I just am not aware of it. But for Windows, out of the box, no problems. And like I said, matches very nicely with this very expensive laptop's panel. But I think that's probably enough for just a quick intro to the product. Just initial impressions of it. The screen is very sharp. The colors, I could definitely stand to tweak a little bit in the settings there. It was just all very standard and kind of flat. It could probably be brighter, but again, it's only being powered with one USB-C cable, so it's hard to complain too much about that. One sort of downside that I do see to it is this stand is not removable. The cover is not removable at all, which means that if it ever gets damaged, that you're just kind of stuck with it for good. But for carrying it around, unlike my other monitor, the other one you have to have a separate case for it, and it's kind of a big bulky case, whereas this is very slim, very lightweight, so I could definitely throw this in a backpack and carry it with me and not feel too bad about it. And it does have this solid brushed metal finish on the back and all the way around the outside, so it does feel very sturdy as compared to the very plasticky one that I've used before. So in terms of build quality, I definitely give it a little thumbs up. It's got buttons, it's got ports, it has lots of features, so if this is something that looks interesting or sounds interesting to you, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'll have a link to where you can find it over on Amazon. Thanks so much to WiMaxIt for sending this out for me to take a look at. Thanks to you guys for watching. If you're new here and you liked what you see, hit that subscribe button so you get notified whenever I put out new videos. You can also ring the notification bell to get notifications on your phone, laptop, tablet, and whatever else. But I will see you again very soon.